Hey there and howdy to all y'all good people out there in football land. This here's your old cousin Scotty again with one more bag of pigskin picks. This is my daughter Haley. We had Hunter on last week. Haley's just come in from Anderson, South Carolina, where she is what are you majoring in?
Biochemistry.
I can't even say it, but she does it. Well, I went 4-2 last week due to the upset monster wreaking a little havoc on me, and I'm sorry for that LSU mess up. Either way, Bama won, and it ain't no big deal. Well, I didn't know what I was going to do this week. Then I looked up the college football playoff rankings and saw that 7 out of 10 teams was from the South. And I had me one apostrophes. 'Cause I said, it's all South weekend. So get some sweet tea and sit back and cross your fingers, and maybe your team will win this week. Now pay attention to all y'all people from up north, and you might learn a little bit about how we talk down here. So here we go. Florida versus South Carolina, and that's pronounced Florida. The severely beat down swamp lizards will crawl out of the mud and muck and head straight into a coop owned by a ticked off rooster. Old Muschamp and the Funky Chicken Gang went down to Georgia last week, and they were looking for a year to steal. But they got in a bind and fell way behind, and on chicken the dogs made a meal. Now all that being said, and it weren't easy, we got 2 teams here that are going to hit the field in Columbia this weekend with ill intent on their minds. Now intent is a southern word that means a good place to be if you was camping out in the rain. However, in this contest it's going to take one team to have a whole bunch of offense and defense to pull out a win. Both teams need it. Florida way more than South Carolina in this case, but need just won't be enough, and this is going to be just one more big nail in a well-built gator skin coffin. If I was Randy Shannon, and right now I am real thankful I ain't, I would hire the best resume writer I could possibly find. Cousin Scotty's pick, South Carolina. Notre Dame versus Miami. About the only thing southern in this game is the GPS coordinates of the Hard Rock Stadium. The Irish will head down to Coral Gables to tangle with the old U. And between their helmets and that giant bling the Hurricanes defense gets when they have a good play, there's going to be way too much 80s fake gold for me. Mark Richt has had his Canes playing about 6 levels above the teams of the past decade. And the Irish this year only have one blemish on their resume, and might take a little more than just a little win to Miami this week. The Canes are teetering on an 11-win season for the first time since 2003, and really need to show us who they are this week. Unfortunately for the Canes, Notre Dame is surging and wants another shot at Georgia in the playoffs to avenge their only loss. Now almost everybody wants to see old Mark Richt do good and win all he can. But this will be the week that might just take the wind out of his sails. Cousin Scotty's pick, Notre Dame. Louisiana Lafayette versus Mississippi. And I said that in proper Southern. The Raging Cajuns are going to head to Oxford Saturday for a friendly dinner time brawl. It means lunchtime. The Rebels are a bit confused about their season. In the past 2 weeks, losing to Arkansas by 1, and then turning around and beating Kentucky by 3 in the last seconds of the game. All seem backers to me too. They're riding a 4-5 record, and the Cajuns are sitting at 4-4 themselves. On paper they match up fairly even, but on the field, not so much. Ole Miss has dropped games to the SEC West Elite this year, not showing out their very best. But they can take this week real serious like and get a win. The Cajuns will give it the old college try, but like the SEC commercial says, it just means more here. Cousin Scotty's pick, Ole Miss. North Carolina versus Pittsburgh. Now Thursday night will be a good night to sit back and watch a little football. The Tar Heels are going to head off to Heinz Field for a primetime showdown in Steeler Stadium. This game will play under the lights and might have a bigger crowd on hand than the Steelers have been playing for all year. UNC showed some promise last year. Too bad we're knee deep into this year, and that promise has not been kept. At 1-8 and no SEC wins, they played a good game against Miami and just came up short. Pitt is 4-5 this season, and needs 2 wins to get bowl eligible for the 7th straight year, which would be their longest streak in history. Is that streak in jeopardy? The good news is Carolina gets to play on TV. The bad news for Pitt, North Carolina is playing better and better every week. By the time we all go to bed, Pitt could be 1 win away from bowl eligibility, or could UNC get win number 2 this year? Cousin Scotty's pick, you got to stay in the South, North Carolina. Alabama versus Mississippi State. Man, that's a lot of syllables. Oh boy. The Crimson Tide rolls into Starkville on Saturday to try and drown a cute, cuddly bulldog. That ain't right. Bulldogs are man's best friend. Well, most are, but this dog is mean and hungry. Mississippi State has been up and down this year, but getting stronger by the week. Old Dan Mullen, bless his heart, has built a ferocious family atmosphere, and his teams are starting to buy into it. For weeks now, the injury bug has been hitting Alabama on both sides of the ball, and except for the quarterback, nearly every position. But this is Nick Saban's team, and the tide rolls deep. Will Alabama slip one time this season? Will it happen this week? Will they meet Georgia in the SEC championship? These questions and many more will all be answered by 11 o'clock Saturday night. This game will be tough to call. The dogs are hungry and the tide is hurting, but Cousin Scotty's pick is Alabama. And finally, folks, Georgia versus Auburn. The Bulldogs and the War Eagles or Tigers or whatever they call themselves each week. Here we go. Kirby Smart will load up the dogs and head across the state line for one more episode of the Deep South's oldest rivalry. This game began in 1892 and is the epitome of it just means more. Georgia needs this game to hit 10-0 for the first time since 1982. This game has decided SEC titles, who goes to the Sugar Bowl, and this year could affect the college football playoffs. Auburn needs this win to legitimize their season. An early loss to Clemson, okay, but a loss to a struggling LSU team, and the Tiger season is heading in the wrong direction. They have to win. Back-to-back losses to the Dogs and another mediocre season could spell doom for Gus Malzahn. The Tigers don't control their own destiny. They need Alabama to fall apart. Not likely. So what will we see in this game? I think Auburn will come out and go about 110% as long as they can. They're big and tough on offense, but they're a little bit one-dimensional. And the Dogs, defense, man, they're fast. They can cover near any pass attack out there. And then there's that whole you can't run on them thing. A freshman quarterback with no experience is huge in any league. But the SEC, is Kirby nuts? He beat the Tigers last year without an offensive touchdown. Well, this year he's got an offense that can score almost at will. So who wins? Who needs it more? Who wants it more? Well, Auburn needs it more, but the Dogs' head man seem to have convinced them dogs that they are hungry and getting hungrier every week, and they want it more every week. This will end late, and it's going to be very close. And y'all be sure to take your meds, because we don't need no 911 calls late in the fourth quarter. Cousin Scotty's pick, Haley, Georgia, yeah, let's go with Georgia. Well, folks, that'll do it for me for another week. And again, this is all for fun. I ain't responsible for y'all losing no bets. And that's all on you, so just don't do it. Well, I had fun, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll be back next week with yet one more bag of pigskin picks. Speaking of pigskin, I could really use a bag of barbecue or hot right now. But still I wait. Well, enjoy the fall weather. It's beautiful out there here in the South. Y'all come on down and enjoy it with us. So watch some football on Saturday, and then go out and take a drive with your family after church on Sunday. God bless y'all, and God bless America. Say bye, Haley.
Bye.